what's going on? BizzyDad here, you there? And I'm not feeling well right now. You might be able to hear it in my voice, but we're going to power through this. Not feeling good. And also, Scribble Sketch, our girl, put up a video last week where she admitted herself that she wasn't feeling well. Now, is it possible? I don't even want to speculate, but is it possible that she got me sick through the computer? Could she have done that? Would she have the audacity to do that? I hope not. I hope not. But nonetheless, we're going to power through, and we're going to go over the deck lists for the matchup that was posted last week, the quick game between me and Mike, where Mike took his Green Dragon deck against a Charlotte deck that we're both fiddling with and tinkering with. I'm going to handle both deck lists right in this one video. These decks are still being worked on. They're not finalized. We don't have sideboards. But I know that when I put these matches up, sometimes people will request the actual list used. So we're going to go over that really quick. And just before we jump into it, a quick note on the 500 subscriber giveaway. That video went up a couple of weeks ago, and it is now down. Registration is over. And be on the lookout within the next week where we put together a new fun video and pick the winner for the Keeper of the Past Earther promo. Who is going to take that home? Time will tell. So be on the lookout for that, and we'll just touch on that next week when the video comes out. But let's go over the deck lists. And first, we will take on Mike Harley's Green Dragon deck, which I think is really creative and really a lot of fun. So the ruler is Guardian of Wind Magic Stones. This is the Green Dragon from Vingolf 3. So Judgment of 5, 2 green, 3 of other, and Energize for green. And a Resonance, whenever a Wind Magic Stone comes into your field, target Resonator gains the ability to rest and produce any of the colors. Now, this always has to happen if there's a Resonator on the board. So be careful. If you do play this ruler and you don't have any Resonators on your side, you call it a Windstone. If your opponent has a Resonator, that Resonator now gets the ability to rest and produce any of the colors. And depending on what they're playing, you might have just given them a green light to answer any one of your plays, especially if they have a kill card or a remove card, anything like that. So really just something to keep in mind, but I don't think it is a huge deal. Mike does not really flip this dragon over because that resonance ability really was what drives the deck sometimes, but we will flip the dragon over. For discussion's sake, becomes Avatar of the Wind Magic Stone. So here's a 10-12 non-flying dragon. So kind of loses that lackluster. It's lackluster when it flips over. But when it does come in, you get to put 2 100/100 Wind Elf Resonator tokens into your field, and Mike has supplied his Wind Resonator tokens. Really cool little cards right there. Also, Resonators you control gain the ability to rest and produce any color. So you no longer need a Windstone when you flip the dragon over. All of the Resonators you control gain the ability to do that. And that also includes those Elf Resonator tokens that just came into the field. But Mike does keep it on this side to use the resonance ability and really just drive the game. You don't have to flip this dragon over to win in this deck. Mike has a 12 stone base, so he has 2 copies of Blasting Waves, so that is his red and green. He also has 4 copies of Gusting Skies, so that's green and white, and then he just runs 6 basic Wind Magic Stones. He's going to use that for little red, as you're going to see. But also the 12 stones because he's going to use Barust as one of his strategies in this deck too. And you definitely need stones for Barust, as you're going to see. So let's go into his Resonators. 4 Tama, 1 drop. Cat, when it comes into your field, you draw a card, so replace yourself immediately. You can also banish it to deal 200 damage to a target Resonator. Tama is one of the best green Resonators in the game. Value for the money. He also has a 1 of Divine Bird of Ataraxia, so it's another 1 drop, 100/100 with flying. When the card leaves your field for a non-field zone, you draw a card. I'm assuming that this 1 of is in here to block flyers. It is a flying Resonator, so maybe this can block some flyers. And also when it goes to the graveyard or it gets RFG'd, you get to draw a card. I'm assuming that's why he's got it in there in just a 1 of. So, like I said, this deck is a 2-pronged attack, and here is one of them right here. It's Barust, 4 copies. It's 1 red to play, 0 attack, 100 defense. The card gains +2/+2 for each Magic Stone in all graveyards. So, anytime a Magic Stone hits a graveyard, Barust gains +2/+2. He has 2 rest abilities. You can rest and banish a Magic Stone, and it will deal 500 damage to target Resonator. That bottom ability is a killer. Rest and banish 2 magic stones and destroy target special magic stone. And that's what you saw in the match. He would just eat up 2 of his stones and destroy one of my dual stones. And every time that happens, Barust gains +6/+6. And that's for each Barust. So ideally, you'd like to get 2 on the field. And with the stones being destroyed, they just become 6, 7, and then 12, 13, 18, 19. They just become really big and difficult and just impossible to deal with until they eventually win the game. And if he's not going to get you with Barust, he's going to try to get you with Little Red. This is a 1-drop, a 3/3. It's an elf. It'll gain +1/+1 for each wind magic stone you control, and it gains swiftness as long as you control a non-special wind magic stone. That's why he has 6 basic green magic stones in this deck. As long as one of those is on the field, Little Red gets swiftness. Little Red also gains +1/+1 for each wind magic stone you control. So she gets bigger as the game goes on too, just like Barust. But like I said in the match, they don't work well together. You're going to have to go with one or the other, because Barust is going to eat stones to get bigger, but Little Red needs those stones. So I think he goes and sees how his opponent is playing, and that kind of determines how he's going to go after the win. He'll either eat the stones and let Barust get bigger, or keep the stones and ramp up. He has ramp in here to make Little Red bigger. Speaking of ramp, last Resonator in the deck is Timekeeper Elf, 3 copies. So it's a 3-drop elf, and when the card enters your field, put the top card of your Magic Stone deck into your field. So instant ramp, it comes in rested. I should have mentioned that. But the Timekeeper Elf comes in, and a stone comes in immediately. And it's just fodder to either make Little Red bigger so she could swing for more damage, or gives another stone for Barust to eat up and send out into the graveyard so he can get bigger. So his spells and abilities. So he has 3 copies of Protection of Seraph. This is a oldie but goodie. It's a 1-drop addition, and this is basically just barrier. Added Resonator cannot be attacked or targeted by spells or abilities your opponent controls. This is what you want to get on your Barust or your Little Red, so they can just stay on the field and become bigger and bigger and ultimately just unstoppable. He has 3 copies of Sniping from the Blind Spot, which is one of my favorite cards to use when it comes to blue. So it's a 1-drop instant, return target rested Resonator to its owner's hand. He does not have any blue stones, so obviously this is going to be something that's played with the Resonance effect, and it's going to be played on his turn. So I'm assuming that this will be to clear out any blockers. If he's swinging away with a really big Barust or a really big Little Red, somebody tries to block, he then uses the Resonance on another one of his Resonators to make the blue, hit the sniping, send the blocker back to the hand, and then the damage gets through and could potentially be the game. There's another smart way to get damage through. It's Dreams of Flight. So it's a 1 light instant. It's a quick cast and remnant. You force 1, you roll a die. Target J Resonator against +X/+X and flying until the end of the turn, where X is the result of the roll. And that's what you want to hit on Barust. You get Barust to a 12-13 or an 18-19, and then you hit that Dreams of Flight. Now all of a sudden Barust is hitting for 2,000 flying and could potentially end the game. He has full ramp package here with the 4 copies of Blessing of Yggdrasil. Gets a special Magic Stone, puts it in the field rested. And then he gets the 4 copies of Magic Stone Analysis, where he goes and gets a non-special Magic Stone and puts it into the field recovered. So he has 8 cards in here built in just to go get stones whenever he wants. He runs 4 copies of Seal of Wind and Light for the cancel package, 1 green, 1 light. It's an instant spell. Cancel target spell. Just stops any big plays from happening, any big Resonators from coming into the field. He's able to just put the brakes on that really quick. Finally, in his deck is 3 copies of Kaguya's Moonbeam Butterfly, which is a really good card. 1 green, 1 light, 1 X. Search your deck for a target Resonator or addition and put it into your field. X+1, that is. So being that Barust and Little Red are 1-drops, he just makes the X 0. So for 1 green and 1 light, he gets to go into his deck, find any one of these that he wants, puts it right into the field. Little Red can get swiftness as long as you have that basic wind magic stone. And if you have a Barust that's at 12-13 or 18-19, depending on the stones in the graveyard, getting another Barust and putting him right into the field is really big trouble. Luckily for me, he did not run into that during the match, or else I really would have been in for it. So that is the Green Dragon deck, and it's very simple and it's very fun to play. It really gives you the options of, do you want to go with Barust and kind of screw your opponent out of their special magic stones, or do you want to go for the little red and just kind of ramp your magic stones and just make her unstoppable? Dreams of Flight is there to make these guys fly, to get the big damage in, and he does have that sneaky little sniping from the blind spot play in case he wants to send a blocker back to our opponent's hand. Okay, and now we'll go into the Charlotte deck. So this is a blue and red deck. Charlotte, Determined Girl, is the ruler. So Judgment of 2, 1 blue and 1 of other. Energize for blue, and an ability to pay a blue and discard a card, rest the target resonator. So all come in pretty handy. This Charlotte deck is blue and red, and it's based on straight burn, just aggressive burn. But at the same time, we mix in the blue to help us draw and help us stall and slow our opponent down. So it's an interesting interaction, and the deck does work pretty good. It's really fun to play. So let's get into our stone base for this one. And it is 4 copies of Hearthscore. So this is going to give us the access to red and blue. And then it's really just 6 basic fire magic stones. Where's that 6th one? Ah, Sylvia, there you are. Just throwing a little homage to the girl. 4 red blues, and then 6 basic fire magic stones. We'll go into the resonators, and the staples for red is 4 copies of Guinevere. So it's a 1-drop red with the killer ability. You can rest, banish a resonator, draw 2 cards, and discard 1. She also counts herself. She can send herself out for the draw. Also, a red and a rest. The target resonator gains +4/+4 until end of turn. When it deals damage, then you banish it. Now, that is not used as much. It could just be a finishing touch. If you have somebody potentially swinging for the game, you can use that ability to add the extra damage to potentially end it. Also run the 4 Rook Eggs. Again, another stable is a 1-drop egg. When it hits the graveyard, search your deck for a fire resonator and put it into your hand. Between Guinevere and the egg, these are our searchings. We're going to be digging through our deck, looking for more Guineveres and more eggs. And also, Guinevere is going to help us constantly draw and discard, getting through our deck quick. Only other resonator in the deck, 3 copies of Kane, Treacherous Killer of the Gods. Just a fun resonator to have in this deck. Another 1-drop, 0 attack, 400 defense. We want the ability, which is to rest, and the card deals 200 damage to target opponent. And as you see, you get Kane on the field. Ideally, you'd like 2. And if he's not dealt with, if he's not checked, and he's able to do his work, what you like to do is just draw, and before recovery, you rest him, and you deal 200 damage to your opponent. If you got 2 on the field like this, it's going to be 400. So hitting the 400 every time you draw before recovery, it doesn't seem like much, but you get this off 2-3 times, and with all the other burn spells in the deck, could potentially be the game. Like I said, it's heavy burn, so you're going to see the heavy burn usuals. So it's for Lightning Strike. This is, like I said, staple. 1 red, quick cast, 500 damage to target J Resonator, or 500 damage to your opponent. And also is 4 copies of Memory to Memoria. A good utilization in this card, so it's a 1-drop chant. You can only do it on your turn, but you choose 1. The card's going to deal 400 damage to target Resonator and produce a red, or it deals 500 damage to target player. And really, both applications are good here. If our opponent has like a Sacred Elf or something small on the field, we can play this, deal 400 damage to it, kill it, and then it produces a red. So if we have a Guinevere, now we can just play the Guinevere, or we can just play the Lightning Strike, hit our opponent for 500. It's really good. And mathematically, with all 8 of these cards, if we all get the damage to our opponent, here's the game right here, 4,000 in burn damage right there. Let's keep the burn roll going. So we got 3 copies of Blood Boil. It's a 2-drop quick cast, so you do it anytime. The card will either deal 600 damage to your opponent, and our opponent can't gain life till the end of the turn, or target resonator gains +8/+8, and at the next end of turn, you destroy that resonator. So we don't really go for the second choice here. We go for the first one, where we just try to hit our opponent for 600. Like I said, it's aggression and it's burn, and we just go for that choice. Being that it's instant, we can do it at any time. So how do we buff the burn? Here's our burn buffers right here. It's 3 copies of Barrier Flame. So this is a field edition for 2, 1 red, 1 other. Comes into the field, and it says if a normal spell you control would deal damage, it deals that much +200 instead. So we get one of these on the field, and then we cause a Lightning Strike, 500 +2, 700 to our opponent. And the sweet spot is if you can get 2 out on the field, now all these Lightning Strikes are 900. So it's not hard to see how this just adds up really quickly and just overwhelms our opponent. We combine these with, if we have the Canes on the field, and then Kane is hitting for 200 before the recovery, Kane can also put the game away if we get our opponent down to under 500, and then we just rest them out. So, little tech in here. It's Memory of Flame. It's a 2-drop. This is a chance standby card. So we pay the 2 and we put it face down in our standby area and wait for the trigger. What's the trigger? When you play a chant or an instant quick cast card, if that card would deal damage, it deals that much plus 600 instead. So we get this down in our standby area. Lightning Strike is here, so we'll just use it again. We play our Lightning Strike, deals 500 damage to our opponent. They accept the damage, that hits the trigger for Memory of Flame, and it's going to stack 600 on top of it. Now all of a sudden this Lightning Strike is 1100. Again, if our Barrier Flame is out there, 700 from the Lightning Strike, when the damage gets through. Memory of Flame then pops out of the standby area for another 6. That's a 1300 Lightning Strike. Opponents can't last long if they can't gain life and they can't stop this burn from coming through. One thing to note, because this standby card says trigger, you cannot activate it the turn it is put down. So you cannot, on your turn, play it down in our standby area, and then on that same turn, play a Lightning Strike and then cause this to flip. It's not going to do it. No bueno. Can't flip it over yet. You have to wait for at least our opponent's turn after we pass. Now, if we pass to our opponent and it's during his turn, or hers, ladies, sorry. If it's during our opponent's turn and we play our Lightning Strike quick cast and they accept the damage, now we can flip it over and add the +6. Anytime our standbys say the word trigger, it cannot come out on the turn that it was put down into our standby area. So just keep that in mind. And that is the end of the red portion of it. Now we'll go to the blue. This is our stall. This is our draw. This is our slowdown. So it's kind of interesting to see it mixed with the burn. And we have 4 copies of Summon from Memoria. So this is a 1-drop, 1 blue. It's a chant. We can only do it on our turn, but you look at the top 3 cards of your deck, then put a card from among them into your hand, put the rest on the bottom of your deck in any order. So for 1 blue, we just grab 3 cards, pick the one that we need the most, put the rest to the bottom. It's surprising how many times you do this, and one of those 3 cards is something that comes in very, very handy, and we get to just put it right into our hand for 1 blue. It's blue, so it should not surprise you to see that I run Sniping from the Blind Spot in here as well. So again, 1 blue, return target rested resonator to its owner's hand. This could be an attacker, this could be a blocker, this could be anybody trying to cause trouble. We just get it right out of there, send it right back to our opponent's hand. 3 copies of Malefic Ice Wall. I never know how to pronounce that, and you guys know me by now. I butcher these things. But this is a 1-drop quick cast chant, also ancient magic, but we don't have any mana counters. So we use it at any time. Target J Resonator gains -1000 attack until end of turn. The fact that it says J Resonator on here makes this a very, very good addition to this deck. This will definitely stall your opponent's big Resonators or big J Ruler down a little bit. I'm talking about that turn 2 Priscia Godsart OTK, which I have run into with this deck, and I was able to slow it down because they went off hard on the full combo to get the Godsart and try to swing away, and then after it was all done, I just dropped the Ice Wall on her and chopped away 1000 attack and was able to survive the turn. So again, just a good stall card. Hopefully not take as much damage, maybe try to drop down to 0 damage, and just buy us a turn to where we can hopefully burn them away in the next turn. Finally, in the deck is 2 copies of Sympathy of Fire and Water. This is a card that I'm loving more and more in my red decks, or anytime I can get red and blue together. So it's a 2-drop, 1 red, 1 blue. It's a chant, only on your turn. Ancient magic, again, we don't use mana. And we choose 1. If we have a Fire and Water Resonator, we can choose 2. We have no Water Resonator, so don't even think about choosing both. Here are the 2 choices. 1, produce red, blue, and 1 of other. You can only spend that to play Ancient Magic, so we don't care about that. It's the second choice that says target chant in your graveyard gains Remnant until the end of turn. Another potential game ender. We will drop the Sympathy of Fire and Water, and we have a Lightning Strike in our graveyard, so we're going to target that to give it Remnant, and then we can just play it right out of the graveyard with Remnant for 500. Maybe that's the game ender. Maybe we have a Barrier Flame to add 600 to it. Who knows? Maybe we have the Memory of Flame in our standby area to pump up another 600 to just end the game. So really useful card if our opponent is on the ropes and ready to get killed. We can just Remnant one of our chant spells, one of our fire burn spells, and just end the game like that. So guys, that is it really quick. Just the decks for the Green Dragon and the Charlotte deck. We called the Green Dragon deck the Spinach Fields, and we called the Charlotte deck Frostburn. And I want to know what you think. Let me know with a comment below. Love our discussions. Don't forget, like, share, subscribe. More matches, more videos, more stuff coming. The 500 subscriber giveaway, look for that next week too. And after this, I'm going to get a nice cup of hot tea with honey and lemon and sit and watch my stories. No, that's a joke, but I am getting the tea. So that is it for today. As always, thanks for a few minutes, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.